So having it on the board is one. Having it visually there, and then orally telling them what you need to do. A lot of clarification, and sometimes I need to ask, what did you understand the task to be? And sometimes I'll have them, having them go into groups also help clarify what they need to do. So yes, some written, repetition, oral, have the kids talk to each other. That helps with making sure that everybody understands what the expectations are.
Yeah. And I noticed you also talked about whether or not the students were familiar with the content.
Oh yes,
as well.
Yeah. So trying to get the background, their background knowledge. Like, to what extent do you know about this term? And that also allows me to, it gives me background information of how in depth I should go into it, or have the kids share what they know. And so that's always good too. So the part of it probably is having them getting into groups, the setting of the discussion work, the smaller group. Also having to break down and specifically give them a law instead of looking at all 36 all at once in this time frame. Just breaking that down for them, having them have them become a little bit more intimate with a specific law, and then having to walk around and checking for understanding. I think that really is helpful in making sure that they're comfortable with the assignment and trying to get them to understand what they need to do. So I needed to make sure that each kid had a specific specific law that they're going to focus on. So I just put it on Post-it notes, easy, just number them. I did assign them a particular group with those adjective cards, and so I needed to make sure that each group had the same amount or enough, or all the laws were covered. So that was part of the organization, and making sure that the setting was already in place for them. So we didn't spend so much time trying to stand up, go together, things like that. So there needed to be some organization in terms of the flow of the lesson, because they were standing, I was lecturing, then they had to move, then they had to talk, and they had to stand up again, things like that. So yes, the planning of the flow. Because we're already set, they already know my expectation of how they behave. That was not a problem. Sometimes a reminder of, okay, let's hear what he needs to say. But again, it's a lot of those, because they're so excited to share that they all want to talk at once. So it's just a reminder of, hey, let's hear what he has to say. So not too much management where it became out of control. Probably just getting them on task. Hey, what's going on? Are you understanding this? I notice you're still looking at your paper. Just those management that I need to make sure that they're on task. And then when we are together speaking, just gentle reminders. Okay, you know what? I need to hear, what he has to say, or I'm speaking now. So a lot of body language and a lot of cueing that we already established. Yeah.
Have you used this grouping strategy before, or Post-it notes before, or speaking in front of the class?
Speaking in front of class, very big this term. Getting them to be comfortable with public speaking. So it's not part of the Springboard lesson, but I incorporated that as a big one where they need to start learning how to project their voice, because it's just as important as writing. And so a lot of these small discussion helps, and a lot of these, even just standing up saying, I'm fantastic, things like that. Those really helps with their self-esteem, because these kids have a lot of great things to say, and I would like people to hear it. So, yeah. Student engagement, I've thought it went well. Just having them in groups, having them talk. I think in the beginning, when I just had them read and comprehend on their own, for some it was difficult. You know, just the reading itself by themselves is difficult, but when I allow them to talk, when I encourage them to talk to each other, it became a little bit more less anxious about the topic, and then having them talk about the topic itself, and then having them share. They needed to stand up and share. They need to find personal connections with it by finding a question or creating a question that they don't have to answer, but it is a question. And I think that allows them to be engaged with the content more. Yeah. I think it started, the relevancy happened at the end when we were having the discussion, when I asked the question, which law do you feel would be most impactful on you personally if these laws were enforced today? That generated so much discussion, not only discussion, but even more questions that I didn't have answers to, which also then opens up to finding the answers as we progress into research and reading the book. So I think that in itself was, pretty engaging, and people, they found like personal connection, and that's always very important. The questions that they generated, we will go ahead and answer them at the end. After they're going to do some research, after we read To Kill a Mockingbird, I think the answers to their questions will not only incorporate their knowledge, personal experience, but now taking specific text support from the reading, which I think comes together. I think that's what we need. That's what I want them to do, is find personal connection to the text, but also, see how they can connect to the characters.